Chapter 881 Xiyu Telling Myths, 5. 881 Xiyu Telling Myths, 5. Legendary level, all demigods in the team. It shouldn't be a problem, right? It was just that he felt a little uneasy unless he reached the mythical stage. However, 7 years was only the time for Blue Planet's mythical revival. A mythical external enemy might not necessarily descend immediately, so there was no need to worry too much. As the loser of the Battle of Blue Planet, the alien factions might have paid an even heavier price. Of course, it was also possible that it would descend on that day. For example, if a planet didn't have the complete power of the natural order, what would it swallow? Perhaps, when the world laws recovered, it would come again. In short, it would be best to break through to the mythical stage in 7 years, and he would have top-notch mythical battle power. Xiyu set a small goal for himself. Otherwise, it wouldn't be safe. At that moment, Xiyu naturally couldn't confess. There was no concrete evidence. However, he could talk nonsense. President Logan, do you remember the fossil recovery device I developed? Xiyu said. President Logan's expression changed slightly. At that time, I said that if the ancient fossils of the Totem era could be revived, then the mythical creature fossils of the mythical era might be able to be revived. Although there have been no successful cases now, I believe that as long as we invest money and continue researching, reviving divine beasts and materializing mythical creatures into the beast-taming era might not be impossible. And now? You mean, President Logan's expression was shocked. The expressions of the presidents of the other national associations, the archaeologists at the scene, and the other legends in the alternate space changed a little. In front of Xiyu, a purple summoning array appeared. As he summoned, the white research coat he was wearing fluttered in the wind. Yes, I've done it. I successfully used a fossil from the mythical era to revive the mythical phantom into the modern era in the form of a mechanical god. The exact time of the mythical revival was analyzed by it. On the purple array, a deer-like white body slowly appeared. On its body, green patterns condensed into cloud-like hair, reflecting the image of the wind. Its entire body was like the embodiment of the wind, and its head was petite, gentle, elegant, and beautiful. This creature is the Kirin race of the mythical era. It's known as the Wind Kirin of the 3 mythical races in the East along with the dragon and phoenix. At this moment, after seeing this creature, most of the people present opened their mouths wide. They couldn't believe their eyes. He did it? Xiyu said that he did it? In Dong Huang's seat, Principal Feng, Lu Qingyi, and the others had excited expressions, especially Principal Feng. He shouted in his heart. Look! This was Dong Huang's archaeologist. Ridiculous! How is this possible? Shen Feng's mechanical legendary, Zed, was the first to not believe it. He couldn't believe that the fossil recovery device could even revive divine beasts. It even made Shen Feng's mechanical legend so anxious that he directly tore through space. Just like the glory hero king just now, it descended to the scene and observed this Wind Kirin solemnly. You said that it revived from a mythical fossil, so its current race level is... The Shen Feng mechanical legend stared at the Wind Kirin with a burning gaze. More than 20 million energy points should be a monarch-level normal state. This energy level was not enough to shock the Shen Feng mechanical legendary. He could also casually modify a monarch-level mechanical life form with a normal state that exceeded 20 million energy points. What concerned him more was the race level of this Wind Kirin. At this moment, Xiyu completely didn't expect the mechanical legendary of Shen Feng to suddenly appear. His heart immediately skipped a beat, but then he looked straight at the other party and said, unfortunately, it can't compare to the complete Wind Kirin. When it revived, the power it inherited was pitifully small. Its skills were severely lacking, and it didn't inherit any divine skills at all. However, the exact time of the mythical revival was indeed analyzed and sensed by it. Everyone looked at the Wind Kirin in silence. That it should be close to a mythical race, right? Just like how the racial levels would decrease when the ancient tyrant dragons revived. If he wanted to revive a divine beast, it was impossible for the racial power to still be mythical through the fossil. Above high-level overlords, quasi-mythical races should be enough. But even so, it was very terrifying. It was actually true. The revival had succeeded. How terrifying was the fossil recovery technology? At this moment, the archaeologists of Shenfeng were filled with regret. They didn't understand why they didn't cherish fossils. Shiyu was actually right. Normal revival of divine beast fossils meant that the quasi-mythical race was the cap. The reason why Ling could evolve and break through to the mythical race was not because of the fossil revival, but because of the special skill of mythical revival. Without mythical revival, there was no wind blessing, so there was naturally no mythical race. But at the scene, there were also people who understood, such as the mechanical legendary, the Elven Empress, President Lin, and a few other experts. They knew very well. This was a real mythical race. However, there were many people here. Before knowing the rules of the World Tournament, this information naturally had to be used as a trump card. In the World Competition, if Shiyu uses the Wind Blessing, Zed and the others will be shocked. The Elven Empress said to herself, "If Senior Zed thinks that this can't be evidence, it's alright. When the World Competition starts, you can further verify it from Lord World Tree. Lord World Tree should have awakened this time to deal with the upcoming mythical revival. If the Wind Kareen can sense it, so can the World Tree, the clone of the planet's will. 7 years. I think this number will also be uttered by Lord World Tree. Before we obtain the verification of the World Tree, you can pretend that I didn't say anything," Shiyu said with a smile. In other words, if he obtained verification from the World Tree, the mythical resources couldn't be lacking. At this moment, seeing Shiyu so confident, the various legendaries and presidents had shocked expressions. There were still 7 years until the mythical revival. 7 years later, demigods and legendaries would have a chance to break through to the mythical stage? Crack! At the same time, as Shiyu started to talk about myths, legendaries tore through space one after another and arrived at the scene, staring at Shiyu. The 7 legends descended together, making the archaeologists present feel a little suffocated. Their eyes widened. This information is indeed extraordinary. The Rongguang Hero King looked at Shiyu solemnly and glanced at the mechanical legendary divine source. If you can obtain verification from Lord World Tree, you will definitely have a share of the rewards for mythical resources. At this moment, since the legends had spoken, the other archaeologists and presidents of the association naturally didn't dare to push it. At the same time, they cursed their mechanics in their hearts again. Why was he so fast? They still couldn't replicate Dong Huang's fossil recovery technology for a long time. It could actually revive the biological phantom of the mythical era. The archaeologists present looked at the Wind Kareen with jealous eyes. Looking at this perfect creature. At the same time, they looked at this young man in horror. No one expected that the prophecy he made at the Dong Huang Mechanical Conference a few months ago would be verified in such a short period of time. If what Shiyu said just now could still be true, Shiyu was definitely a name that couldn't be avoided in the future in the archaeological field. However, after becoming a prophet, Shiyu still didn't want to end it. He still wanted to say something. He said, "Then seniors, I'll continue?" Everyone was stunned. There was more? Shiyu's expression was calm. This was only the beginning. This was only one of the many information pieces he had obtained from Qi. Apart from that, he, Buggy, and Ling had yet to explain the reason for the destruction of the mythical era. Also, after Buggy evolved into a green dragon and worked hard for a day, he and Buggy finally entered the dream of that mysterious fossil. They finally saw the main body of this mythical creature clearly. Through here, they also obtained relatively explosive information. Otherwise, why would he be so weak now? Chapter 882, 882 Legendary Archaeologist, 1. 882 Legendary Archaeologist, 1. A new mythical era might come in 7 years. But actually, I'm more willing to believe that this is fake. At the venue of the Glory World Archaeological Exchange, Shiyu first predicted the time of the mythical revival before speaking in front of everyone. The information he had just mentioned was not just limited to the legendaries of the countries stuck at level 9. Even archaeologists of different ages at the scene were very concerned. The reason was very simple. If this was true, they were witnessing a major historical change. Various ruins showed that during the mythical era and even the early totem era, the human race didn't exist. Humans didn't make it in time. Until now, there wasn't a single divine-level life form. Then, if the mythical stage revived, would it be possible for humans to give birth to their first mythical beast tamer? Was it possible for them to know this person? Everyone was looking forward to it. However, Shiyu's next words made everyone fall silent again. He had just predicted the time of the mythical revival, and now he was saying that his hope was fake. What was going on? Everyone, please look here. Shiyu inserted a chip into the technological device in front of him. In the next moment, an image appeared on the screen. It was a barren world. On the barren ground, the figure of a creature appeared. Everyone realized that this figure was the mechanical phantom beast, the Wind Kareen, beside Shiyu. Or rather, the mechanical phantom beast, the Wind Kareen, looked exactly the same as the creature in the scene. This is... Archaeologists who were familiar with the mechanical phantom beast system quickly determined what this was. It should be the dream memory of an ancient fossil. This is the dream memory of the mechanical phantom beast, Shiyu said. As expected, Shiyu's words confirmed this. Everyone quickly discovered that in the scene, the Kareen race, known as one of the three mythical races of the East, was actually fleeing. It looked extremely panicked, as if there was a terrifying existence behind it. The scene changed. In the next moment, the image of the creature chasing it appeared. Its appearance looked to be made of many different species. It had a purple-red ant-like body and was extremely huge. Every hand and foot looked like the limbs of a dragon. At the end were sharp dragon claws, and its face was as ferocious as a demon. Under its blood-red eyes were rows of sharp white teeth and green saliva. On its back, there were also 4 pairs of long and huge sharp purple-red thorns, looking extremely terrifying. Bang, bang, bang. Seeing this creature's extremely uncoordinated, terrifying image, many people felt physiological discomfort and their hearts skipped a beat. God! What's this? A yellow-haired archaeological old man muttered. This was the first time he had seen such an uncomfortable creature. It is chasing after the Wind Kareen. Shen Feng's mechanical legendary was stunned. If this was the fossil dream memory, then the Wind Kareen in the dream memory was definitely a real mythical race. It was far more complete than Shiyu's revival. However, even such a creature with the background of a mythical race, was actually being chased. Then was the one chasing it also a divine beast? This creature is called Space Worm. It's an extremely terrifying invasion species for other life planets. They're born with quasi-divine skills that contain that devouring lore. They're considered a mythical race. Like the dragon, the phoenix, and the Kareen, their race is overall a mythical race. However, compared to other mythical races, the starry sky worm has a terrifying characteristic like the other bug-type creatures on our blue planet. That is, its reproduction ability is extremely strong. They have a strong appetite. They can quickly digest food with very high energy levels through devouring skills. It's not impossible to digest the corpses of other mythical races and divine beasts as food. The most terrifying thing is that after they eat divine beasts, they can also complete their evolution and display the merits of other species on their bodies, which is to optimize their race. Apart from that, they can also store the nutrients they devour in their bodies and carry out the next generation's reproduction, letting the next generation's starry sky worms inherit the merits of the creatures they swallowed. It can be said that the end of the mythical era was to a certain extent because of the space worm. An extremely dazzling era was destroyed by the weakest attribute of our modern world. Shiyu looked at the many legendaries who had yet to walk away, and at the presidents of the various countries. He looked at the archaeologists of the various countries and said, according to the dream memories, the East at that time clearly had havoc wreaked by the space worm race. Even the Wind Kareen race was forced to be involved in the racial war. This is a war between predators and food. Most people opened their mouths wide. They looked at the terrifying worm in the scene in disbelief. What? When Shiyu finished speaking, everyone was stunned by the ridiculous racial ability of this so-called space worm. How could such a creature exist? The legends of Shenfeng, Rongguang, the Seven Islands, Shui Yuan, Minghua, and Tingxiang looked at the creature in the scene in shock. No wonder it was an extremely terrifying invading species for other life planets. This ability was simply the enemy of all races. Shiyu said, not only that, but in the mythical era of Blue Planet, according to the Wind Koreans' incomplete dream memory, there was more than one invader, that space worm race. Chapter 883, 883 Legendary Archaeologist, 2. 883 Legendary Archaeologist, 2. If the space worm is the devouring worm of life, then there's also the space beast of the devouring law. It has the ability to devour the laws of a planet and can turn a planet life form with perfect laws into a dead star. They grow by devouring the power of laws. The height of the cubs is measured in 10,000 meters. A complete cosmic beast can even pluck the stars and the moon. At this moment, the figure of a huge beast appeared in the scene again. It towered into the sky and had a red rock body. With a stomp, the ground trembled and the mountains trembled. The terrain of a continent was instantly changed. Everyone's expressions changed. Although the dream memory is extremely incomplete, I suspect that the reason why the power of laws on Blue Planet is flawed might be because of the invasion of the cosmic beast to a certain extent. This wasn't the end. Soon, the scene changed. It was a filthy world filled with darkness and pollution, like an abyss. There was no trace of Blue Planet here at all, as if it was operating on another law. Apart from the beasts, a devourer of life and the devourer of laws, the invaders of Blue Planet at that time also had the world-contaminating beast. They had the ability to turn an area of life, be it the environment or life, into their own race. If the purpose of the space insect race invasion is to devour life, complete evolution, and reproduce, and the purpose of the space beast's invasion is to devour planets, destroy planets, and grow, then the purpose of the world-contaminating beast is to transform other life planets into new homes suitable for their own survival and colonize the entire starry sky. The Abyss Sea might be the representative of this faction. Many archaeologists have guessed if they encountered any external enemies at the end of the Blue Planet's mythical era. And now, I can confirm that there's no mistake. Moreover, they encountered invaders from outer space with unimaginable strength. I don't know if they were on the same side, but in that era, the native lives of Blue Planet must have experienced an extremely tragic battle. Even Blue Planet fell asleep because of this. The reason why I don't have any expectations for the mythical revival 7 years later is that when Blue Planet regains the huge life resources and law resources from the mythical era, will the invaders from outer space invade Blue Planet again? Shiyu's expression was extremely serious. Everyone's expressions changed. Even the expressions of the mechanical legendary and President Lin changed slightly. Previously, Shiyu had also mentioned to them the reason for the destruction of the mythical era. However, there were no such details at all. Even the racial information of the invaders was very clear to Shiyu. It looked like Shiyu's research had probably made new progress. This progress was undoubtedly very shocking. The people of Donghuang trusted Shiyu very much, so they naturally didn't think that Shiyu was lying. If it was true, if the invaders that had been destroyed in the mythical era could descend again, the current Blue Planet would definitely not be able to resist. Including humans and all other species, they would become food for the space worms, provided that the space worms took a fancy to their inferior food that had yet to reach the God domain. The entire Blue Planet would be swallowed by the cosmic beast. Now that the divine battle power was scarce, there were probably not many native life forms on Blue Planet who could protect their home planet. These sounded distant, but when combined with what Shiyu had just said about mythical revival, there are only 7 years left, everyone's hearts immediately thumped, as if it was the countdown to the end of the world. This kid, Principal Feng's face trembled. Why didn't he tell him in advance about such a big matter? It was over, the end of the world? He had yet to hug his nephew. At the side, Lu Qingyi's expression was also solemn. It was difficult to imagine Shi Yu's heavy mood when he learned of these things. All the archaeologists' expressions changed, stunned by this news. The presidents and legends of the various countries had bewildered expressions. They looked at this young archaeologist, not knowing if what he said was true. Regardless of whether these enemies will invade again in the future, I think we should prepare. Of course, this kind of thing can only be verified with the dream memories. Although I think it's enough, it concerns the fate of the entire planet. It's worth verifying again. Just like that 7-year time limit, as a clone divided by Blue Planet, the World Tree definitely knows this. This World Tournament reveals something strange. Why did only the humans of the 7 countries participate in the previous years? And this time, they let the various hostile factions go to Inatella together. There must be a crisis that's about to affect all the lives of Blue Planet. That's why it's worth the World Tree doing this. I think this matter, including the 3 invading races, can also be verified with the World Tree, Shi Yu said. At this moment, the hearts of many archaeologists tightened. If there were still people who felt that this disaster theory was too strange and unreal just now, why did it coincidentally happen to be in their era? But now, combined with the actions of the World Tree, they couldn't refute it at all. Yes, this world competition revealed something strange. It was clearly a sign that something big was about to happen. At that moment, they felt that the person standing on the stage was no longer an ordinary archaeologist. How could he say this so calmly? Chapter 884, 884 Legendary Archaeologist, 3. 884 Legendary Archaeologist, 3. If the 2 archaeological results Shi Yu mentioned just now were verified, the fossil recovery system would become the greatest invention. Shi Yu himself would definitely become a legendary archaeologist in the future. We will also verify this with the World Tree, the Rongguang Hero King said with a serious expression. At the moment, even the way the 7 Islands Valkyrie looked at Shi Yu had changed. She didn't expect that the little brat who caused trouble on the 7 Islands actually had such an unbelievable discovery in archaeology. Next, I want to talk about the information about the faction of the 3rd beast of the contaminated world in the above-mentioned archaeological discoveries. At this moment, Shi Yu had no intention of going down at all. Everyone knows that the Abyss Sea is said to come from outer space, but is there a possibility that their goal is not only the ocean, but also land? In fact, in a recent period, this faction has already targeted Blue Planet again. 10,000 years ago, in the Totem era, a meteorite fell from the sky and landed on the Blue Planet. A meteor the size of a city fell on the Blue Planet and evolved into a life form during the fall. After it evolved into a life form, its talent was terrifying. Soon, it had the strength of a totem level and slept in the east. 2,000 years ago, its strength reached the peak. It called itself Yunnan, modified the Yun race, and dominated the eastern land. It mastered the radiation curse law of the incurable injury to Dot. Dong Huang's second legendary emperor, Emperor Wu, died to kill Yunnan. This history was discovered by me and has already been circulated in Dong Huang. Similarly, in the west, the mother life tree in the Tingxiang area was also polluted by an unknown pollution source into the dark mother tree. Most of the elves fell into the darkness. Although the later a dark elf race left and ended the dark mother tree, this history is a major turning point in the history of Tingxiang. These lives that contain the power of curse pollution have the same abilities as the invaders of the Abyss Sea and the mythical era. Can it be seen that they come from the same faction? It's better to say that they come from the same faction. Everyone's expressions changed slightly. This was discovered by me and Lu Qingyi, the archaeologist of Dong Huang. With that said, Shi Yu took out 2 pieces of dark flesh, a small bottle of black liquid, and a black leaf. He said, from left to right, these are the flesh and blood of the 2 totem-level generals of the Yun clan under the demigod Yunnan. They were obtained by our Dong Huang's recent hunt, and the liquid in the small bottle is seawater that contains the power of the Western Abyss Sea's abyss. It was also obtained by my archaeological accident. As for the last leaf, it's the leaf of the Dark Mother Tree. It was obtained by Dong Huang's archaeologist, Lu Qingyi, from exploring the ruins of Tingxiang. After my research, the 3 powers come from the same source. The research data will be attached later. You're also welcome to study it together later. At least this means that the factions that invaded Blue Planet have never stopped watching Blue Planet. They have already begun to stir. Many archaeologists had shocked expressions. The seawater of the Abyss Sea, the leaves of the Dark Mother Tree. How could they find such a thing? Compared to the mythical era, Shiyu felt that this kind of thing was a small matter, but he also hoped to obtain an additional legendary resource. However, for these archaeologists, it was a big matter that made them even more nervous. The expressions of the Seven Islands Valkyrie and the Elven Empress changed slightly. They didn't expect that the Yun race and the Dark Mother Tree could actually be related to the invaders of the Abyss Sea and even the mythical era. At this moment, various clues showed that what Shiyu said was largely the truth. Dr. Gufu, who had just gone on stage, had already had hundreds of millions of changes in his expression. He was completely immersed in Shiyu's story just now. Only now did he realize that what Shiyu said was all incomparable and super heavy archaeological discoveries. If he obtained the confirmation of the World Tree and the promise of the Rongguang legendary just now, didn't that mean that the mythical resource had already been reserved by this kid? The other archaeologists were also stunned and realized this. Everyone was here for the resource reward. Not to mention archaeologists, even the presidents and legendary experts of the various countries had subtle feelings. The reason why they took out so many rewards was to encourage countries to share information. From the current progress, if archaeological discoveries such as the mythical revival period, information on the races that invaded from outer space, the reason for the end of the mythical era, and being spied on by the pollution source faction were confirmed, it didn't seem right for Shiyu, who had come up with important information related to the mythical era and the future of Blue Planet, not to receive the reward of 2 mythical resources. Unless an archaeologist could say more important archaeological discoveries later, but they felt that what Shiyu said had already touched the ceiling. Now, everyone also understood that the most expensive resources had already been locked onto by Shiyu. Unless Shiyu failed and his archaeological discoveries were overturned. Everyone's mood couldn't help but become serious. They instantly hoped that Shiyu's archaeological discoveries would be overturned. It wasn't because of mythical resources, but because if that was the case, they wouldn't have to face the possible disaster. They didn't want to encounter another disaster that happened in the mythical era in their lifetime. Then, just as everyone thought that Shiyu, this young man who might become a legendary archaeologist, was about to go down, Shiyu calmly took out another fossil. Chapter 885, 885 Legendary Archaeologist, 4. 885 Legendary Archaeologist, 4. After moving it out, it was a huge machine the height of a person. From its appearance, it was the archaeological machine Shiyu had displayed at the mechanical conference. However, this machine had already been upgraded by Shiyu, Buggy, and Ling yesterday. Everyone? What was he doing? I still have an archaeological discovery, Shiyu said seriously. It can also be said to be evidence. Everyone? F*CK, did he want to take all the rewards? The mechanical phantom beast, the Wind Careen, was revived from a fossil from the mythical era, but the Wind Careen in the dream memory is only a cub that hasn't grown to the mythical stage. But this fossil, Shiyu held the fossil in his hand and said, its owner is a real mythical creature. As a result, with the current technological ability, it's impossible to revive it. However, although I can't revive it, I still obtained a lot of important information from its dream memory. At the same time, some dream memories also confirm many of the above discoveries. Everyone widened their eyes. He succeeded? Principal Feng was stunned. This fossil had also developed results. After all, Dr. Mai Xiaoying and the others had yet to develop any results with the help of the top-notch AI. The fossil of a real divine beast. The expression of the mechanical legendary of Shen Feng had already changed many times. He looked at the mechanical legendary in his heart. He seemed to have underestimated the fossil recovery technology. This thing could really touch the domain? How was that possible? At this moment, the Shen Feng mechanical legendary looked at Shiyu and had the urge to kidnap Shiyu back to Shen Feng. At this moment, Shiyu placed the mythical fossil and activated this upgraded fossil archaeological device. In the next moment, buzz! The power of imagination appeared in the entire display venue, and an extremely unfamiliar environment appeared. On the dry ground, red magma rolled. On the ground, a huge monster stood motionless on it, filled with the charm of history. Traces of time lingered, making people feel that endless time had already begun to reverse. It was actually a dragon hundreds of meters tall. Its body seemed to be watered by the deep power underground. On its ancient earth body, hot power rolled and flickered. As it opened its brown dragon eyes, a pressure from the divine domain enveloped all life present. Even the expressions of the legendaries changed slightly as they looked at this creature that looked like a dragon in shock. Its appearance was inclined towards a Western dragon, but it didn't have wings. From the attributes, it was close to the earth element. This was the main body of the unknown mysterious fossil, a member of the dragon race of the mythical era, the earth divine dragon that had mastered the vibration law. Shiyu and Ling couldn't help but sigh. Little G was really damn lucky. This fossil was actually dragon element, and it was earth element. It had to be said that in an instant, Little G's potential had increased to an extremely high level under Shiyu and Ling's imagination. If it could successfully fuse the phantom power of this fossil in the future, its divine level potential would be stable. As everyone can see, this is a dragon that lived to the end of the mythical era and experienced a divine battle. It has reached the mythical stage. It's called the Dwarf Divine Dragon, and has mastered the Quake Law. It can easily cause earthquakes and volcanic eruptions that destroy countries. From its dream memories, or perhaps it can be said to be an obsession, we obtained a lot of information worth taking seriously. After the mythical era ended, a large number of divine beasts still survived. However, at that time, the rules of Blue Planet were flawed. The nutrients of the world were no longer enough to support their survival. There were 3 paths waiting for them. One is to leave the Blue Planet space and head to the starry sky to find a new home. Second, open an independent space, seal itself, and fall into a deep sleep. When the Blue Planet mythical revival happens, it awakens again. Third, undergo continuous reincarnation and start from the beginning. When the mythical revival and the nomological memories are activated, it can also awaken again. The 3 methods all had their own risks. At that time, the remaining divine-level creatures chose different paths according to their conditions. Among them, it's very difficult for the Earth Divine Dragon to leave Blue Planet or undergo continuous reincarnation due to the restrictions of its attributes, race, and the power of laws it controls. Therefore, it chose to sleep. Although I don't know if it can last until the mythical revival, this is the only way. However, one day, a meteorite descended from the sky and a huge asteroid collided with Blue Planet. Blue Planet space trembled again. Many sleeping mythical creatures were affected and were heavily injured and died in their sleep, including the Earth Divine Dragon. In the end, it can only appear in this era where myths are about to revive in the form of fossils because of the advantage of the earth element, Shiyu said slowly. What I want to say is that if the mythical era revives, a certain number of mythical creatures that have survived the mythical era should awaken. They might either awaken from the mythical ruins we excavated or awaken as reincarnations. Perhaps they will also return from outer space. Although they were once native life forms of Blue Planet, we still don't know their attitude towards humans and the current Blue Planet life forms. But if the conditions allow, I think it's safer to maintain friendship. After all, we might have a common enemy. By the way, in the mythical era, mythical creatures also have racial levels. According to the strength or number of people who have mastered the power of the natural order, they are divided into a low-level mythical race, medium-level mythical race, high-level mythical race, and the top-notch mythical race. The battle power of mythical creatures is the same. It depends largely on the race level, or it can be said to be the strength and number of divine skills. At this moment, Shiyu directly led everyone into the mythical era. Looking at Shiyu on the stage, everyone had an extremely complicated feeling. It felt like from today onwards. Blue Planet? It seemed like a new chapter was about to begin. From the moment an archaeologist named Shiyu saw a corner of the mythical era. However, who can stop this guy? Don't let him talk. The more he talks, the more afraid I am. Moreover, is he done? Is he going to finish the prize pool alone? Many archaeologists widened their eyes and looked at this young man. Was he an animal? Why did it feel like he had King been to the mythical era? At the same time, Inatella. At the root. The consciousness of the world tree woke up again. It's starting soon. The time is ripe. It's time to tell the creatures of this era the truth of the destruction of the mythical era and the threat facing Blue Planet. I hope they can accept this information calmly. It looked at the many mythical ruins towering in Inatella and the mythical creatures that were also reviving inside. In this world tournament, apart from the resource competition between various transcendent races and the humans it thought highly of, it also wanted this batch of people to experience and understand the cruelty of the mythical era and the power of the mythical domain. Chapter 886, 886 The Eve of the World Tournament. 886 The Eve of the World Tournament. Through Chi's memories, Shiyu kept spoiling the mythical era at the archaeological conference. In an instant, the archaeological conference was covered in dark clouds. Speaking of which, the reason for this archaeological conference was that the countries felt that this world competition was a little strange. They felt that the mythical era might be coming. Therefore, it was to let countries share known information. They hoped to consolidate the truth through various information. However, at this moment, Shiyu directly couldn't mess with everyone. The meeting had just begun, and Shiyu had finished explaining the goal of this exchange alone. Moreover, it brought quite explosive news. There were only 7 years left until the mythical revival. At that time, the external enemies that had ended the mythical era would invade Blue Planet. The countries thought about their archaeological discoveries and fell silent. Compared to what Shiyu said, they were all unimportant details. Not to mention the mythical era, most countries, such as the Seven Islands and Tingxiang, only brought archaeological discoveries from the Totem era. Among them, it was already a very impressive result for Shui Yuan to be able to crack the cosmic ruins. And this result was only a minor detail in Shiyu's archaeological discoveries. In an instant, these archaeologists were not even in the mood to watch the world competition. They only wanted to get verification from the world tree. Also, was this machinery phantom beast system really that ridiculous? They widened their eyes and looked at the Earth Divine Dragon in the arena and Shiyu in front of the Earth Divine Dragon. At this moment, as Shiyu spied on the mythical era, archaeologists who were willing to believe Shiyu, such as Dong Huang, were already trembling. The seniors of Bureau 11 swallowed their saliva. Some archaeologists spent their lives just to restore the truth of history. Among them, the various things of the mythical era were undoubtedly the most difficult pursuit. And now, someone had finally managed to peep in. Although it wasn't them, they were also the first batch of witnesses. Not to mention these archaeologists, even these legendaries were moved. Divine Source, are these real? The Snowfield battle god couldn't help but ask Divine Source. For Shiyu to say this, it must have been verified by Dong Huang. The 6 legendaries present didn't believe that a superpower like Dong Huang would weave such a lie for just 2 mythical resources with low functionality. Moreover, it was a lie that could be verified with the world tree. Of course, Divine Source said. If it were other archaeologists, he might have doubts. However, Shiyu was different. Divine Source was one of the few people present who knew. Shiyu's Win Kirin was a beast of a mythical race who had mastered quasi-divine skills. Mythical race, monarch level. Such a ridiculous thing had already happened. In comparison, what was wrong with spying on some fossil dream memories and understanding the mythical era? It couldn't be luck. Moreover, what Shiyu carried was also a luck-type quasi-divine skill. This was a true son of luck. The various legendaries present were also very serious. Because if it was true, they were also about to witness the key moment in history. Legendary level people looked very strong. In a single era, legendary level was indeed very strong. But in the entire history of Blue Planet, legendary level was only SOSO. Just in Dragon Palace City, there were more than 100 demigod-level dragon gods who left behind the dragon god statue. If all the factions were added together, there would be even more legendary demigod level. There were countless of them, and there were very few who could leave traces in history. And among so many legendaries, as legendary members closest to the mythical era, these legends present didn't know if they had caught up to the best era or the worst era. That's about all I have to say. Soon, Shiyu finally finished speaking. But the scene fell silent. Before the legends of the various countries could say anything, the presidents and archaeologists naturally didn't take the initiative to speak either. As the host of this World Archaeological Exchange, the Rongguang Hero King was silent for a moment before saying, "Thank you, Dr. Shiyu. Because your archaeological discoveries, good or bad, have greatly changed the fate of this world." On the stage, Shiyu smiled and said, "Just doing my part. After all, my childhood dream was to become an archaeologist. It's my dream to change the fate of this world through archaeological methods. In addition, after the world tournament ends, if these archaeological discoveries are verified, I'm willing to share the fossil revival technique with the Seven Nation Alliance on an equal level to promote the worldwide mythical archaeological tide and help the entire world to welcome the disaster that might happen next." What? As Shiyu finished speaking, the expressions of all the archaeologists present trembled. The presidents of the associations of countries like Shenfeng and the Seven Islands were also shocked. What did Shiyu just say? He was willing to share the fossil recovery technology with the Seven Nation Alliance? The countries had wanted fossil recovery technology for a long time. But Dong Huang just didn't give it to them. But now, as Shiyu said this, everyone's expressions changed. They couldn't imagine that the creator of the fossil recovery technology in front of him would actually say such a thing. Divine Source, President Lin, and the others had calm expressions. This matter was actually the result of Shiyu and the others' discussion. If a disaster was really about to happen, what Dong Huang needed to do was quickly increase its national strength. Although the fossil revival technology could become an inheritance foundation tens of thousands of years later. Chapter 887, 887 The Eve of the World Tournament, 2. 887 The Eve of the World Tournament, 2. However, the forming period was too far away. Moreover, it could only deal with ordinary totem battles. Facing the mythical war, it would definitely be powerless. Why not share it and equivalently obtain a huge amount of resources from the Seven Nation Alliance that could increase Dong Huang's national strength now? For example, mythical resources, mythical fossils. Of course, the most important thing was that the threshold for fossil recovery technology was too high. Apart from the founder Shiyu, who had Buggy, Baby Ginseng, Kai Tong, and Ling, the conditions for outsiders to use it were harsh. Even with the support of a top-notch brainpower in the 4th Bureau of Dong Huang, they didn't develop the divine-level fossil. After all, the top-notch AI was left behind by Divine Source. In other words, the legendary think tank Pet of the Divine Source was helping the 4th Bureau study. Even so, there was little progress. In the end, they still had to rely on Buggy, who had evolved into a green dragon, Shiyu, who had max-level psychic power, and Ling's luck enhancement to spy on a portion of the Earth Divine Dragon's dream memories. Moreover, they had yet to revive it. Therefore, Shiyu was even more certain that if the mythical era was 7 years later, it was better to use the mechanical phantom beast technology to exchange for more mythical resources to grow faster and better sit on the first bus of the mythical era. Moreover, in the face of external enemies, the Seven Nation Alliance together was stronger. Only then could they deal with external enemies better. At this moment, these archaeologists didn't know Shiyu's little plan. Even if they knew, because this machinery phantom beast technology crossed eras, everyone definitely felt that the value of this technology was greater than everything and mythical resources. They had literally just seen Shiyu with a revived divine beast and even a divine beast phantom. He even spied on the mythical era. If they could obtain such supreme technology in the archaeological field, they were willing to pay any price. Some archaeologists had different evaluations of Shiyu just now. Then, they looked at Shiyu as if they were looking at the archaeological god. What a structure! Is what you said true? Shi Yu's word stunned even the mechanical legendary of Shen Feng. Yes. Shi Yu nodded. At this moment, the legendaries of the various countries, including the Seven Islands Valkyrie, who originally didn't have a good impression of Shi Yu, reassessed Shi Yu. Perhaps this was a pure archaeologist. Only Dong Huang's own people had strange expressions. After all, this guy's childhood dream was to become an archaeologist. Relying on archaeological methods to change the world was his dream. Why did Principal Feng, Lu Qingyi, and the others remember something else? Wasn't Shi Yu's childhood dream to be a feeder, mechanic, and beast tamer? In the archaeological field, didn't Bureau 11 use 10 million yuan to seduce Shi Yu into the Bureau willingly? Forget it, it wasn't important anymore. In any case, there weren't many secondary positions left that could be Shi Yu's dreams. Initially, in the face of Shi Yu's archaeological discoveries, there were no longer many archaeologists from other countries who thought that they could obtain resources. At this moment, when he heard that Shi Yu actually wanted to share the machinery Phantom Beast technology, they were even less hopeful. They understood that this archaeological conference had ended before it even started. Shi Yu had completed the kill. If nothing unexpected happened, the two mythical resources would probably be directly divided by Shi Yu. In fact, several legendary resources would be divided. Although there were still many legendary resources left that might not necessarily all be given to Shi Yu, they looked in Dong Huang's direction. None of the archaeologists from Bureau 11 of Dong Huang had gone on stage yet. What Shi Yu had just said was almost his archaeological discovery alone. Dong Huang was the strongest archaeological country. It was impossible for Shi Yu to be the only one to make major archaeological discoveries. Therefore, they could already imagine how cruel the competition would be waiting for them. At the thought of this, these archaeologists fell silent. Fortunately, compared to legendary resources, they had experienced a new history and witnessed the birth of the archaeological god. This trip was not a loss. This Shi Yu should also participate in the world competition, right? At that moment, even the legendaries acknowledged Shi Yu's archaeological talent. The snowfield war god, Vader, muttered. There were many Inatella mythical ruins. As the trump card of the Dong Huang archaeological world, it was impossible for Shi Yu not to explore them. Yeah. Divine Source nodded. From the fluctuations of his summoning array just now, he's still a level 6 beast tamer. Even if it's as Zed said, he contracted an overlord above his level. It's still too difficult and dangerous to participate in the world competition. Divine Source, during the world competition, I'll ask our contestants to take care of him. At the legendary level, they were all smart people. The Snowfield Battle God understood. He knew that although Shi Yu had promised the mechanical Phantom Beast technology, the word equivalent was actually a little scammy. It was very subjective. It all depended on Dong Huang's mood. At this moment, the better his relationship with Dong Huang and Dr. Shi Yu, the smaller the price he might have to pay. How could he get closer to Dr. Shi Yu in the simplest way? With Shi Yu's strength, participating in the world tournament was really a little difficult in the eyes of the legendaries of the various countries. If he wanted to explore the ruins, he probably had to rely on others to protect him. If there was a chance to save Shi Yu's life or help, they might be able to freeload the mechanical Phantom Beast technology. Divine Source. He didn't want to say anything. Take care of Shi Yu? Was it referring to how to show off by taking care of Shi Yu? Were they trying to grasp the opportunity? Chapter 888, 888 The Eve of the World Tournament, 3. 888 The Eve of the World Tournament, 3. Shi Yu followed his plan and participated in the archaeological conference. Then, he returned to rest. He was really tired. In order to study the Earth Divine Dragon fossil, he had consumed a lot of energy yesterday. In addition, he had received some memories from the mythical era through the memory water drop. Shi Yu even had a nightmare yesterday. He only wanted to rest now. Of course, he definitely wouldn't miss the archaeological discoveries of other countries. The archaeological conference was in progress. At this moment, the participants of the 7 countries, be it the contestants of the World Tournament or the archaeologists, had naturally arrived at the Kingdom of Glory. Apart from archaeologists and contestants, there was also a considerable number of spectators from various countries who were about to arrive. World Tournament audience. These spectators were all relatives, friends, supporters, and interests of the contestants. There were also some lucky people who spent a huge price to apply for the qualification to watch the battle from the Dong Huang Association. In the previous world competitions, apart from a certain number of participants, the World Tree also allowed them to bring a certain number of spectators. These spectators hoped to see the results of the world competition immediately. At this moment, in Dong Huang, as the World Tournament approached, the nearly 10,000 spectators had already gathered. Among them, Xiyu knew many people. Senior Panda and her daughter, the beast-eared girl, and the others were all here. Even the genius beast tamers of the new generation of Dong Huang, Yin Zhengfan, Yu Shu, and the others, as well as those geniuses from sequence 11 to 100, wanted to go to Inatella to watch the battle and make up for their failure to be nominated. As for the lineup escorting this audience team, it was also quite luxurious. Apart from the tyrannical sea legend and the other sea battle experts, there was also the dragon god of Dragon Palace City and several dragon kings. In order to protect Xiyu, most of the dragon kings in Dragon Palace City also came to watch the world competition as spectators of Dong Huang. Although they didn't participate in the world competition, it didn't stop them from coming to watch the commotion. At this moment, in the huge ruined space of Inatella, the Dong Huang audience who came discussed the Green Dragon incident a few days ago the most. There was even an expert like the tyrannical sea legend who asked Dragon Palace City if he knew anything, but the answer he obtained was that they didn't know anything. Green Dragon. Back then, His Majesty Emperor Wu had 4 pets that evolved into the 4 holy beasts, the Green Dragon, the Vermilion Bird, the White Tiger, and the Black Tortoise, respectively. However, they all failed. Although they could also be called quasi-mythical races and were extremely powerful, they couldn't develop a faith skill that could resonate with the Green Dragon's faith tool. If it had succeeded, I believe His Majesty Emperor Wu's final trump card won't be the demon god iron-eating beast, but them. Senior Ji Mengzhu of the Emperor Wu era told Senior Panda and the others the difficulty of evolving into a green dragon. That was a goal that even Emperor Wu didn't achieve through mythical resources. Therefore, it was very difficult for Ji Mengzhu to imagine that someone could actually resonate with the green dragon faith equipment in Dong Huang. So powerful. Who exactly can it be? Senior Panda Lin Xiuzhu sighed. Everyone was extremely puzzled. Even the Dragon God was no exception. After receiving the news from the Sea Dragon King and the others, she was also looking at the starry sky and thinking about who it was. This was actually very bad. In the territory of Dragon Palace City, there was actually a group of dragons who believed in the Green Dragon. As a fictional god, if the Green Dragon really was believed in and became a spirit with potential, even the Dragon God felt that she was inferior. If this creature that evolved into a green dragon aimed at the Dragon God deity position in Dragon Palace City, the Dragon God was worried that there would probably be another storm of blood. At the moment, the forces of the 7 countries were gathered in the outer sea of Inatella Island. Apart from the 7 countries, the factions of the Totem Country also arrived nearby as the time of the World Tournament approached. From the Dark Night Forest, the Dragon Empire, the Demon Nation, the Arctic Snow Field, the Infinite Sea, the Void Court, and nearly 10 demigod-level factions. From the Heavenly Fox Nation, the Divine Tree Nation, the Yamata Nation, the Giant Ape Nation, and nearly 100 other normal totem countries responded to the World Tournament and arrived at Inatella. These factions were actually only a portion of the life factions on Blue Planet. After all, there were still many factions who didn't respond to the World Tournament because there were no humans. Together, the scale of these factions' participation was even larger than the last totem battle. However, at this moment, these complicated factions with various contradictions didn't have any friction in the outer sea of Inatella. The unexpected calm was like the calm before a storm. After the archaeological conference ended, Xiyu originally wanted to rest more. After all, there were still many days until the start of the World Tournament mentioned by the World Tree at the start. In the past few days, after resting, he planned to upgrade Ginseng Baby's plant control as much as possible. He made a simple calculation. The chances of reaching Transcendent might not be high, but it shouldn't be a problem to get close. However, to Shiyu's surprise, the sealed Inatella Island suddenly opened. Green tree worms came to the outside world one after another. Regarding these green tree worms that looked like vortex worms, be it the 7 human countries or the totem countries, they were not unfamiliar. This was the emissary of the World Tree Split, or it could be said to be a clone of the World Tree. A year ago, it was these World Tree worms who informed the countries about the World Competition. At this moment, Inatella opened and the World Tree Envoy returned. Clearly, the World Tree had important information to inform. Shiyu, who had just come out of the ruins and was about to eat, was immediately summoned by President Lin. Apart from him, Yixing, Divine Bell, Lu Qingyi, and the other 9 sequences were also summoned by President Lin. In the huge conference room, President Lin looked at the 10 sequences in front of him and said, "The latest information is that Inatella Island has opened." The envoy of the World Tree came out to transmit new information. It's asking everyone to enter the island. It's about to announce the rules of this world competition. In addition, because the number of participants this time has exceeded its expectations, it plans to carry out the preliminaries first. It will carry out a preliminaries for beast tamers who have yet to reach level 7. Before the main competition, it will screen the participants with unqualified battle power. With that said, President Lin looked at Shiyu, Jifeng, Jiao Xian, Zhu Yun, and the others. Shiyu? The envoy of the World Tree revealed the content of the preliminaries. The difficulty is not low. Even you guys need to prepare. It will create an elemental life clone with the battle power of a top-notch overlord and act as the guardian. Beast tamers below level 7 can only participate in the main competition by defeating this. Actually, this is also a good thing. Perhaps it means that there's a huge opportunity in the main competition. Upon hearing that, the expressions of Jiao Xian, Zhu Yun, and the others changed. Fighting a top-notch overlord. These were the preliminaries. Chapter 889, 889 Shiyu's name. 889 Shiyu's name. Only by defeating elemental life forms with the strength of top-notch overlords could they pass the preliminaries and participate in the main competition with other legends. President Lin looked at Shiyu, Jifeng, Zhu Yun, and Jiao Xian, the 4 contestants who needed to participate in the preliminaries. Shiyu was definitely not worried. But to be honest, he was still a little worried about the other 3. Even some legend beast tamers might not necessarily win against top-notch overlords, let alone level 6 beast tamers. This might be a little easier for those level 6 beast tamers in the totem countries who had contracted overlords above their level. However, beast tamers of the 7 countries actually rarely contracted pets above their level. In other words, Jifeng and the others had to use 6 monarchs and their beast taming talent to defeat a top-notch overlord. Ordinary level 6 beast tamers usually had the title of top-notch master and could temporarily fight against ordinary overlords. It wasn't impossible for relatively strong top-notch masters to kill ordinary overlords, such as Jifeng of Dong Huang. But top-notch overlords. This was another difficult challenge. Cough, cough, cough. It's just the preliminaries. Do they have to be so fierce? The little fatty, Juming, who had reached the legend level, coughed dryly. This is also normal. If you can't even pass this preliminaries, even if you compete with the legends of the totem country, your life will be in danger, Yixing said with a calm expression. Yes. President Yi looked at everyone and said, what's more comforting is that the preliminaries will last for a week. During this period, every level 6 beast tamer can challenge infinitely. It doesn't matter if you fail once. You just have to pass in the end. During this period, Dong Huang will fully bear your treatment and recovery resources. Zhu Yun and the others heaved a sigh of relief. If there were more opportunities to try and test wrongly, that would be all right. If there was only one chance, that would really be hellish difficulty. What about the legend contestants? Lu Qingyi asked. If Inatella opens it now. Does that mean that the ruins above can be explored casually? President Lin said, the information revealed by the World Tree Envoy is limited. The most important thing is to inform us when to land on the island. Perhaps after all the participants land on the island, it will give a specific explanation. Next, you guys go and prepare. It could be said that apart from Shi Yu, Jiao Xian, Ji Feng, and Zhu Yun were a little worried. As for Shi Yu, he was already thinking about which pet to send to play with the guardian of the preliminaries. 6 against 1? No. Although the rules definitely allowed everyone to attack together, for Shi Yu, every pet actually had the strength to defeat a top-notch overlord alone. There was no need to talk about 11 and Buggy. It was not a problem for Baby Ginseng, Kai Tong, Susu, and Ling to fight a top-notch overlord. It was just that he still didn't know the strength of the guardian. As for which pet to send, it depended on whether this top-notch overlord reached the lower limit of his battle power or the upper limit. For example, the upper limit would be the Dark Elven Prince Shi Yu encountered, the Flame Dragon King, and the lower limit would be the green-scaled dragon that didn't have Overlord's will. The difficulty was completely different. In the end, we still have to wait 7 days. After hearing that it was only level 6 beast tamers carrying out the preliminaries, Divine Bell sighed. She was wearing ancient clothing. Xinghai, Jiang Tuanyang, and the other legendary beast tamers smiled. It was pretty good to have more preparation time. Lu Qingyi looked at Shi Yu, and Shi Yu also sensed her gaze. Senior Lu's gaze seemed to be saying that it was his demonstration time. She knew very well that this preliminaries was not a problem for Shi Yu. Shi Yu had defeated an Overlord-level Void Mantis above his level. Although Senior Void Mantis had just broken through to Overlord, because of the comprehensiveness of its skills and the superiority of its attributes, it was not a problem to say that it was a top-notch Overlord. Although in the previous world competitions, no equipment was allowed, Shi Yu's Buggy's battle power was greatly reduced. But that was before. She had just heard from the Gem Cat that Shi Yu had contracted 2 Overlords above his level. One was 11, and the other was Buggy. They were both terrifyingly strong. Although Lu Qingyi didn't know exactly how strong they were, she could imagine their battle results when she recalled their power back at the Monarch level. Of course, even the Gem Cat that had seen 11 and Buggy with its own eyes didn't realize their limits. It thought that the Green Divine Dragon was transformed by Buggy with the Dragon of Imagination. As for 11, it didn't realize that it had already completely crossed into a mythical race. Shi Yu, Lu Qingyi, the two of you stay. After letting everyone prepare, President Lin finally spoke. Shi Yu and Lu Qingyi originally thought that President Lin was going to talk about Inatella's ruins. However, it turned out to be to explain the reward of the archaeological conference. At the start, the rewards of the archaeological conference are expected to be issued within 30 days of the end of the conference. In other words, the 7 countries will only distribute the rewards after the World Tournament. During this period, they will be used to verify the archaeological results and discuss among the 7 countries. However, if there's a chance, Dong Huang will try to apply for the reward in advance. For example, if the World Tree verifies the reason for the destruction of the mythical era, and if Blue Planet might face a great enemy, Dong Huang will try to apply for the 2 mythical resources immediately. Therefore, the 2 of you can tell me about the resources you need. Perhaps you can increase your strength a little before the main competition and use the rewards of the archaeological conference. On Dong Huang's side, apart from Shi Yu, Lu Qingyi and the other archaeologists also had archaeological discoveries about the mythical era and the totem era. Chapter 890, 890 Shi Yu's name, 2. 890 Shi Yu's name, 2. For example, Lu Qingyi had cracked a mythical ruins. Her mythical revival and Shi Yu's mythical revival could be said to have come from that ruin. The greatest archaeological discovery Lu Qingyi obtained from cracking this ruin was to prove that divine power could be passed down. It could be inherited from mythical creatures to ordinary transcendent creatures. Both parties didn't necessarily have to be related by blood, nor would their races have to be similar. As long as the divine beast in charge of inheritance was strong enough, it could transform divine power into power suitable for other transcendent creatures and pass it down. This archaeological discovery was also extraordinary. It made the countries look forward to mythical creatures even more, hoping to befriend them. If they could obtain some inheritance, they would take off. Therefore, although there was no hope for mythical resources on Senior Lu's side, she could still fight for legendary resources. I don't have any legendary resources in special need here. Wind, water, dragon, phoenix, plant. They're all right. President Lin, you know the situation of my pets. Lucini smiled. Now, her wind demon lion and courtyard sprite had reached the overlord level. The mermaid princess, the imperial concubine flower, the hurricane demon, and the green spirit phoenix were still at the monarch level. If she wanted legendary resources, firstly, she could continue to strengthen overlord level pets. Perhaps she could strengthen them to the battle power of top-notch overlords. Secondly, she could nurture new overlords. Shiyu, what about you? President Lin looked at Shiyu. Shiyu said, the mythical resource is the eternal frozen heart, soul pearl, and world tree fruit, right? 2 out of 3? President Lin smiled bitterly. Then this guy should be choosing 2 out of 3. Let me think. The world tree fruit is a must, Shiyu said. The world tree fruit was a wood element special resource. It could increase the pet's comprehension and allow a pet to train a super skill to transcendent proficiency in an extremely short period of time. This was actually very useful. Although Shiyu could add points, there was a limit. For example, he really couldn't add quasi-divine skills at the moment and didn't dare to. Could he use the world tree fruit to increase the proficiency of the quasi-divine skill? In addition, the essence of the world tree fruit was to increase comprehension. Training low, intermediate, and high-level skills was also effective. The upper limit of those non-racial skills was transcendent. If he used the comprehension of the world tree fruit to train, could he quickly increase it? Could it be more convenient to develop the mind domain if he ate it himself? In short, as a mythical resource, there must be something unique about it, or it could be an evolution resource for baby ginseng. They were both good choices. Yes. President Lin nodded. He was not surprised by Shiyu's choice. Right on the heels of that, Shiyu said awkwardly, the eternal frozen heart and that soul pearl are a little scammy. The heart of eternal frost could strengthen ice element demigods. However, the time might be in thousands of years. What a scam. A pet with good comprehension might be faster? Using it with the world tree fruit, maybe it could go about quickly becoming a demigod. But how fast could it be? 100 years? Decades? It was better to directly use the Blue Sea Ruins inheritance to turn Susu to a demigod. 10 years was enough. Or increasing points would be even faster. It was useless. Shiyu didn't want it. The soul pearl was even more useless. Mythical remnant souls slept inside. It was unknown if it was friend or foe, but it couldn't be awakened. Although he could let Kai Tong cut off and absorb it through the spirit release, after absorbing it, if it broke through to the totem level, Shiyu wouldn't be able to hold on anymore. It didn't mean much. It was better to go to the underwater prison of Dragon Palace City to kill creatures. The risk would be much smaller. It was better to increase points steadily. At this moment, Shiyu judged that there was most likely a god who had survived the mythical era sleeping in this soul pearl. He wouldn't disturb the other party. After all, he still had the Earth Divine Dragon and the Time Sprite to deal with. Therefore, for the second mythical resource, Shiyu looked at President Lin and said, I want to use a world tree fruit, but the eternal frozen heart and the soul pearl are not very useful to me. Dong Huang can apply for whichever one it needs more. I don't want it anymore. Shiyu chuckled and said, of course, sir, if you feel bad, you can also exchange it for the mythical resources I need or maybe legendary resources. President Lin. What's your suggestion? President Lin didn't know when it started, but he also had to consult Shiyu's suggestion. I think that although I don't know if the remnant soul inside the soul pearl is friend or foe, from the looks of it, it will most likely awaken after the mythical revival. We can try to take a gamble. I understand. President Lin nodded. As for legendary resources, Shiyu said, wood, earth, light, wind, undead, fire, water, and ice. I won't refuse those, as long as it's relatively normal. When President Lin heard that it was to be prepared for baby ginseng, Kai Tong, Susu, and Ling, there was naturally no problem. All right, you guys go and prepare too. Shiyu, don't let your guard down. Shiyu said, I understand. Apart from Dong Huang, the level 6 contestants of the other countries were also extremely solemn. For example, the ancient kingdom of Minghua's Karen, who contracted the Iron Bull King and had once been blown up by Shiyu in the Dong Huang demon capital. The Seven Islands Nation's 100 God, who had once guarded the path of the champion, the number 1 person below the new generation of legends who had been blown up by Shiyu. Even the eldest daughter of the Moonlight family, from the Shenfeng Nation, who had been captured by Shiyu, and the number 1 mechanical genius below the legends who had been blown up by Lu Bai with a single shot. They all had to participate in the preliminaries. Chapter 891, 891 Shiyu's name, 3? 891 Shiyu's name, 3? They were even more nervous than Dong Huang's level 6 beast tamers. After Shiyu returned to prepare, he started meditating. After a while, he received President Lin's notice. The participants of Dong Huang were going to land on the island together. Shiyu opened his eyes and looked at Inatella. He took a deep breath and understood that the outcome of this battle would deeply affect his future. Inatella. The area here was very large. However, at the moment, it was still empty. It was just a natural scene. There was nothing yet. After the island opened, the 7 countries and even hundreds of totem factions would enter the island. Compared to the 7 countries, apart from the big boss leading the team and the contestants, there were not many spectators in the totem country. At most, they brought a few and a dozen or so unrelated people. There were fewer than 100 people. Not to mention Dong Huang, who had brought 10,000 spectators. As expected, it was still human nature to watch the commotion. In short, there were less than 100,000 lives. Although some races were very large physically, Inatella could easily accommodate them. Not to mention an island, it could even accommodate some large-scale arenas in Dong Huang. After landing on the island, because they were reminded in advance by the World Tree to not fight outside the world competition in Inatella, no matter where these lives came from, they stayed obediently at the moment. In addition, apart from a small number of demigod factions, the other ordinary factions really didn't dare to cause trouble. Who knew if they would accidentally provoke an expert and be beaten to death? At the moment, in Inatella, it could be said that totems were everywhere, and overlords were inferior to dogs. Demigod-level factions basically had at least one totem-level life form leading the team. There were more in countries like the 7 countries. Jiao Xian, how's your detector? After Shiyu and the others landed on the island, they directly met up with the audience on Dong Huang's side. They were also surrounded by members of the 7 countries and separated from the totem country. When they arrived at the island, Zhu Yun asked Jiao Xian beside him and said with a depressed expression, "Mine is indeed useless. No, the precision of the machinery is all interfered with." Beside him, Jiao Xian, who was wearing a silver mechanical suit, shook his head. He used a detector to test the energy value of the accompanying overlord, but it only detected 213. He looked at the Guardian Overlord of Imperial Capital University. The narrowed prediction owl, who had also come to watch the commotion, felt that the machine had completely failed. No matter how lousy Senior Owl was, it was impossible for it to only have 200 energy points. Moreover, it wasn't the only one. The other accompanying pets were the same. The data was erratic. Even your machine can't? Jiao Xian said with a serious expression, "It's more serious than I imagined." Because dozens to hundreds of legendary and mythical ruin spaces overlapped inside Inatella, the island's spatial magnetic field was turbulent. Mechanical lives and technology would be affected to a certain extent on this island. This was what President Lin had reminded them before coming to participate in the world competition. This was very disadvantageous for mechanics. However, for mechanical lives, it was usually fine as long as they adapted for a few days. It wouldn't affect the battle too much. It was considered unaccustomed. If it affected too much, the mechanics of the Shenfeng nation wouldn't have obtained such good results in the previous batch. There were even people who won. Really? Shi Yu thought to himself. He could still use his. It was still their detectors or mechanical lives that couldn't do it. Shi Yu's detector was actually Ling. Through his mental connection with Ling, it used its detection function to see the situation outside. At the moment, Ling was completely unaffected by Inatella's spatial magnetic field. It was unknown if it was because of its race or because of a quasi-divine skill. Just the spatial magnetic field is chaotic, but I haven't seen any ruins. Lu Qingyi massaged her temples helplessly. It looked like they were all ruins that had completely fused into alternate spaces. On Inatella Island, it was chaotic, and voices lingered. Just Dong Huang was chaotic enough. There were too many people. Shi Yu was currently following the participating team. They followed beside President Lin. Next, all their matters in the world competition would be directly connected to President Lin. It could be said that Dong Huang attached considerable importance to this world competition. Although Shi Yu wanted to sneak into the audience more and bring Senior Lu to chat with the beast-eared girl and the others, it was clearly not appropriate. This island is already filled with monsters. This time, Dong Huang's trump card, Yixing, had an extremely serious expression. Even from an infinite distance, he sensed several terrifying auras. He was all right, but some people had already started to worry. Every contestant had a parent. At this level, if it weren't for the fact that their strength was overwhelming, it would be very difficult to control their strength well. If a few important geniuses died, would these factions really not have a huge battle? They were afraid. There are more than 10 demigods, right? Moreover, it's much more than 10. The number might have exceeded 15, Shi Yu pursed his lips and said. He looked into the void. These demigods and most totems were in a space just like back in the archaeological conference, in an independent alternate space they had established. They paid attention to the entire Inatella. He wanted to know more now. As the strongest demigod acknowledged by the dragon god, could the world tree suppress this group of demigods? Just as various factions logged onto Inatella Island and the island was incomparably chaotic. Chapter 892 Shi Yu's name, 4. 892 Shi Yu's name, 4. A terrifying cry spread throughout the entire arena. Under this cry, the entire Inatella immediately fell silent and looked at the black dot in the sky. Then, the black dot grew larger and larger, and a huge eagle-like creature appeared in the sky. It spread its wings wide, and its green 100-meter-long body was displayed. The black feathers at the end of its tail and wings, as well as the black feathers on its crown, made it look very domineering and mighty. Its golden eyes were like the judgment of a god, sweeping with a powerful pressure that enveloped the entire Inatella. The pressure on its body was the reason why everyone stopped talking. Demigod level. Even the totem level, including the gem cat and the frost dragon, felt the strong pressure from its body and revealed a serious expression. This green eagle probably had the strength of a demigod. This is one of the clones of the world tree, just like that green tree worm. In the previous few world competitions, the world tree used this clone to supervise and watch the entire competition, President Lin said on Dong Huang's side. At this moment, as the world tree clone descended, the surrounding void tore. The legendary beast tamers of Dong Huang, Shenfeng, Shui Yuan, Rongguang, and the others appeared in different postures. They also stood high in the sky, but they were shorter than the world tree clone and looked up at it. Apart from them, the surrounding void tore apart, and an even more terrifying life descended. It was like a huge black dragon that was also more than 100 meters tall. Its bright red eyes also emitted a terrifying aura. This was the demigod lord of the Dragon Empire. The Dark Elven Empress, who was wearing a black dress and had a graceful and luxurious aura, also walked out of the void. The demigod of the Demon Kingdom, the lord of the fallen angels with a pair of huge black wings, held the demon scepter and looked at the world tree clone. the half-gods of the Arctic ice field, Void Court, Endless Sea region, Eternal Desert, Ghost Sea, Origin Land, and many other factions actually descended. For a moment, the entire Inatella was even more silent. The silence was terrifying. More than 10 demigods stood in the sky. The eyes of the weak, pitiful, and helpless contestants were filled with blood vessels. These were all legendary lives. At this moment, they had actually all appeared. The Arctic ice field, which was on par with the Snowfield nation, was there. Those that lived in the Void Court, whose entire race was a spatial life form. There was the Endless Sea area, the Ghost Sea, the origin of the most common life species known. It could be said that if these factions could join forces, there would be nothing the humans could do. The reason why these demigods descended to Inatella was because they wanted to know what this world competition meant. The will of Blue Planet had always favored humans, so even in the totem battle, most top-notch totem factions with demigod inheritances didn't completely commit genocide on humans. Apart from the fact that humans were useful, it was also because of the World Tree. And this time, the World Tree, which had been helping humans, actually invited them. This undoubtedly made these top factions on Blue Planet very confused. Welcome to Inatella. A female voice that seemed to be able to encompass everything and nurture everything was transmitted by this World Tree clone. This voice entered the hearts of every life form, instantly making everyone feel like they were bathing in a spring breeze. They felt like they had thrown themselves into their mother's arms. The World Tree was a clone of Blue Planet, and Blue Planet was the mother planet that nurtured all life. All the races on Blue Planet indeed had a natural affinity with Blue Planet. It was precisely because of this identity and because they knew that the main body of the World Tree was the sleeping mythical mother planet that even the high and mighty demigods in their domains were willing to lower their heads. Lord World Tree. Even the demigods were willing to call it Lord World Tree. Many ordinary foreign races below also looked up at this clone respectfully. Before the World Tournament starts, I have to tell you something. Firstly, it's about the time when this mythical revival is about to revive and a new mythical era descends. The expressions of many lives changed. Even at their level, the demigods of the Totem Country were shocked when they heard the World Tree's words. They were extremely incredulous and doubted their ears. Wait a minute, did it really have to start the event with such an explosive thing? What did the World Tree say? The lives of the Totem Countries also widened their eyes. Including the 7 countries, the audience and contestants also looked at the World Tree in extreme shock. Mythical revival? The time when a new mythical era descended? All races pursued the secrets of the mythical era and had never stopped until now. Unfortunately, they couldn't. And now, the World Tree actually said that the mythical era was about to revive? Even the expressions of the legendaries and archaeologists of the 7 countries changed slightly. They looked at Dong Huang and Shi Yu. Lord World Tree. You mean, the restriction to break through to the mythical stage is about to disappear? The Genesis Tree god of the Origin Land said in disbelief. The demigods present were all stuck at the legendary bottleneck. If the mythical revival happened, they would have hope of advancing to the mythical stage. After being stunned, the Rongguang Hero King asked, Lord World Tree, is the descent of the mythical revival 7 years later? The World Tree was just about to say that the revival of the mythical stage was 7 years later. The straightforward words of the Rongguang Hero King almost choked it. Chapter 893, 893 Shi Yu's name, 5. 893 Shi Yu's name, 5. The World Tree. The lives of many factions looked at the Rongguang Hero King. What was this guy saying? However, the next words of the World Tree made the others even more silent. That's right. The time of the mythical revival is about 7 years later, the World Tree said. What the World Tree wanted to say could be said to have shocked the legends and archaeologists of the 7 countries who participated in the archaeological conference. It really was 7 years. In that case, Shi Yu was really right? At this moment, not only were the Totem countries puzzled, but even the World Tree was very puzzled. How did the Rongguang Hero King know the exact time of the mythical revival? The World Tree could conclude that even ordinary mythical creatures couldn't deduce the exact time of the mythical revival. If it wanted to know accurately, it had to be at least a high-level god proficient in spatial laws. Such a god should still be sleeping now. Lord Hero King, at this moment, the audience and contestants of Rongguang, including the Knight of Rongguang Lucille and Fu Jian, looked at the Hero King of Rongguang in admiration. Rongguang actually knew the exact time of the mythical revival long ago? After the mythical revival, the creatures that have slept since the mythical era will awaken. Among them, Inatella has a batch of gods sleeping. There's a segment related to them in this world competition. The World Tree clone said, after the preliminaries, 7 mythical ruins will open on Inatella Island. These 7 mythical ruins are all places where gods sleep. Gulp. As the World Tree spoke, the people on Inatella Island were already completely stunned. Especially the archaeologists, who were completely stunned by the World Tree's next words. And these 7 gods have already been awakened by me in advance. Mythical creatures, woke up. Awakened by the World Tree in advance. Even Shiyu was very surprised by this news. He wondered what the rules of this world competition were. You can treat these 7 ruins as an opportunity to improve yourself before fighting for the championship of the world tournament. Next, the 7 gods will choose through their own methods in the ruins to choose beast tamers who meet their requirements and give them divine rights and even mythical inheritances. As the World Tree finished speaking, all the contestants who participated in this competition had slightly stunned expressions. Originally, those level 6 beast tamers who didn't have confidence in the preliminaries were instantly envious. Mythical inheritance? At this moment, they had to pass the preliminaries no matter what. The 7 ruins can be seen as 7 tests, but there will be a certain restriction on the candidate. If a god in the ruins is a master of the metal element law, it will only allow metal element transcendent creatures to participate in the trial. Therefore, not every ruin trial can be entered casually. At the same time, even if the conditions for participation are met, the contestants can choose to participate or not. The ruins trial won't affect the final outcome of the world competition. It's just an interlude. The 7 ruins all have similar restrictions. Apart from that, the test methods of every master of the ruins are different. Some masters of the ruins want the candidates to fight the masters themselves who have yet to completely recover. Some masters of the ruins want the candidates to kill each other. They are all different test methods. As long as you perform well in the trial, you can obtain the divine right. After 7 trials, the world tournament officially begins. The contestants who survive the first 7 trials will decide the strongest among them. This is all the arrangements for this world competition. At that moment, President Lin and the others never expected that there was no need for archaeologists to explore the mythical ruins this time. The World Tree actually woke up the sleeping divine beasts in the mythical ruins. It woke them up to be examiners. Unbelievable. And what kind of lousy example was the World Tree giving? Wanting a trial challenger to fight a divine beast? Even if its strength had yet to completely recover? Were they sure they weren't here to torture the challengers and let them experience the cruelty of the domain of the gods? But no matter what, the World Tree's words ignited the hot blood of all the contestants. Even Shiyu couldn't help but raise his eyebrows in anticipation. A gift from a god. Mythical inheritance. There were mythical resources in stock at the demigod level. A gift from a real mythical life form would at least be comparable to a legendary resource. A mythical inheritance probably had to be comparable to a mythical resource. Otherwise, it would be too shabby. 7 ruins trials. As long as one grasped it well, no matter which world competition contestant it was, they would probably be able to obtain huge benefits and increase. In fact, the final outcome of the championship would change because of these 7 trials. However, according to the World Tree, the World Tournament had actually started from the 7th trial. In some trials, the candidates had to go in and kill until it was the last person standing. This was already equivalent to eliminating the contestants who were competing for the championship. If the competition for the trial was more cruel, most people probably wouldn't be able to live until the official battle. At this moment, the legendaries of the 7 countries were also a little shocked. They didn't expect that in this world competition, it would actually be the turn of the real mythical creatures to test the contestants. The demigods and legends who were originally not interested in the world competition immediately didn't want to leave. No one had ever seen a real mythical creature. In this world competition, they had to see it no matter what. They had to see the difference between mythical races and non-mythical races. Chapter 894, 894 Shall Y use name, 6. 894 Shall use name, 6. However, as the rules of the world tournament reached this point, the Rongguang Hero King couldn't sit still anymore. Compared to the world competition, he was more concerned about another problem. However, in the next moment, the World Tree really started to talk about this problem. The World Tree said, "Perhaps you will wonder why this world competition is so different from the past. There are even 7 divine inheritances as opportunities." Many totem countries were indeed puzzled. This was the first time they participated in the world competition, and the treatment was already so exaggerated, making them feel a little uneasy. That's because gathering all the lives with potential on Blue Planet now is to nurture more divine-level experts. After the mythical revival, Blue Planet is also about to face a disaster. The guys who caused the destruction of the mythical era might make a comeback. And you were born in this era, the best era and the worst era. In the face of invasion, apart from the gods who are about to revive, you're the only ones who can resist external enemies together. A disaster that led to the destruction of the mythical era? Invader? As the World Tree finished speaking, the leaders of the totem country were shocked again. Wait a minute, the reason for the destruction of the mythical era? The destruction of the mythical era, the severance of the divine inheritance, and the lack of world rules were all because of a divine battle on Blue Planet at the end of the mythical era. In this battle, more than 90% of the mythical creatures died. If the mythical era descends again, the previous invaders might also target Blue Planet again. With the overall strength of Blue Planet now, it's far from the mythical era. If another war happens, the only path waiting for Blue Planet is complete destruction. The lives on Blue Planet will be completely destroyed. Even if it's demigod-level strength, it's only equivalent to an admission ticket in the divine battle. The World Tree said calmly. It looked at the shocked people. Looking at the shocked demigods, it wasn't lying. The reason why Blue Planet could repel the invaders the last time was that the factions that invaded Blue Planet had different destinations and conflicts between themselves. Only then did they defeat all the invaders under the bravery of the divine beasts, causing the other party's vitality to be greatly injured. At the same time, Blue Planet, which was riddled with holes and had its laws collapsed, and Blue Planet, where mythical creatures were almost extinct, was no longer the primary hunting target of cosmic beasts and cosmic worms. But if Blue Planet recovered, no one could say for sure if these invaders wouldn't look at them again. With Blue Planet's current level, who knew how long it would take the World Tree to recover to the level of the mythical era? At the moment, it had placed all its hopes on the human race. It hoped to rely on humans to give birth to enough mythical beast tamers to restore the prosperity of Blue Planet as soon as possible. Who? At the mention of humans, the World Tree clones suddenly looked at the legendaries of the 7 countries. This batch of human beast tamers who stood at the top of the human race. They. At this moment, these legends were all thinking and silent, as if they weren't surprised by what they had just said. Dr. Shiyu is strong. He's actually right. As expected of the archaeological god. He actually expected everything Lord World Tree said a few days ago. The World Tree clone listened to the whispers of some archaeologists in the territory of the 7 countries and fell silent. World Tree? At this moment, the Rongguang Hero King said again, Lord World Tree, the external enemy you're talking about. Do you mean that Space Worm, Space Beast, and even that Abyss Evil God? At this moment, the World Tree clone was stunned. It had yet to say it, so how did they know? There should no longer be any information about the Space Worm and the Space Beast on Blue Planet. Space Worm, Space Beast, Abyss Evil God? The totem clans looked at the humans with cold gazes. What exactly did the humans know? Why didn't they know at all? After a moment of silence, the World Tree said, "I was originally worried that you wouldn't be able to accept it for the time being if I said this, but from the looks of it, I was overthinking," the World Tree clone said. "What you know is far more than I imagined. Looks like you're already mentally prepared for this." They were indeed the factions that invaded Blue Planet at that time. It was also at that time that it was called the Three Great Invasion Disasters. Totem Nation? No, they didn't know. At this moment, these totem demigods only wanted to know what the so-called Space Worm and Space Beast were. "I want to know more how you know these things. You even know the exact time of the mythical revival." The World Tree's stomach hurt at this moment. It kept feeling that today was different from its plan. "Lord World Tree, it's the archaeologist of our 7 countries, Shiyu. He has studied the history of the mythical era. During the mythical revival, the information on the 3 invasion disasters was all discovered by him." The Rongguan Hero King was completely convinced. Everything Shiyu said was actually verified by the World Tree. In other words, everything was true. "Archaeologist, Shiyu." The World Tree clone repeated this name. This was the first time he had called someone by their name after appearing. As he called them, the demigods of the totem clans also chanted this name. Chapter 895, 895 Shiyu's name, 7. 895 Shiyu's name, 7. Is very powerful. Even the World Tree couldn't help but say this. After all, it had seen countless experts who were just one step away from stepping into the mythical domain. But they didn't know the truth of the world at all. But this archaeologist named Shiyu could actually see to this extent. It was indeed very impressive. "Where is he?" the World Tree clone asked, wanting to see who Shiyu was. The Rongguan Hero King was stunned. It looked at Dong Huang's area from the sky and at the confused Shiyu. "Shiyu?" In the 7 countries, countless beast tamers were also stunned when they heard this name. They kept feeling that this name was a little familiar. Holy shit! Dong Huang, the #1 person below the legend who had developed the mechanical phantom beast system? Shiyu? On the 7 islands, the legendary master and disciple of the Phoenix Court were stunned. They looked in Dong Huang's direction in disbelief. It's him? Rongguan, Legend Fu's family, were also stunned. That Shiyu who had just finished eating with them a few days ago? The contestants of Minghua's World Tournament and the Elven royal families in Tingxian were suddenly stunned. At this moment, even the gazes of the totem demigods followed the gaze of the Rongguan Hero King and looked at Shiyu in Dong Huang's direction. Shiyu, who was only 20 years old, appeared in the vision of these top experts on Blue Planet for the first time. At that moment, Shiyu was slightly silent. Not to mention these top-notch experts, around him, Yi Xing, Divine Bell, Zheng Hai, Zhu Yun, Jiao Xian, Ji Feng, and the others clearly looked at him in disbelief. Shiyu? Even Senior Panda, Ji Mengzhu, the beast-eared girl, and the others were completely stunned. Holy shit! In the Dong Huang audience, Master Chu Jie and his daughter, Yu Shu's family, and even Yin Zhengfan, who were watching the show, were originally very serious when they heard that the mythical revival and the invasion of external enemies. However, it was still very strange for them to suddenly watch the show on someone they knew. Shiyu was named by the World Tree. Shiyu had long archaeologically figured out what the World Tree said just now. When did this happen? At that moment, the World Tree clone took a deep look at Shiyu and was also stunned. This was because it actually sensed various powers from Shiyu that were not inferior to those top-notch hybrids. At the same time, it didn't expect that the archaeologist mentioned by the Rongguan Hero King was actually such a young man. Was he also a contestant in the world competition? The World Tree stopped looking and said, "That's all I want to say." Next, the 7-day World Tournament preliminaries are about to begin. I'll materialize 10 natural arenas everywhere on the island, each representing 10 attributes. They can condense guardians of different attributes on their own. The contestants participating in the preliminaries have to choose their own challenge targets. In 7 days, Only beast tamers who successfully defeat a guardian are qualified to participate in the trial and the final battle of the mythical ruins. Among them, the preliminaries also have a reward mechanism. It's determined by the challenger's potential. Using one pet to defeat the guardian is better than using two. Using two pets to defeat the guardian is better than using all the members to defeat it. Using several monarch-level pets to defeat the guardian at a higher level is better than using overlord-level pets to defeat the guardian. This is a reward mechanism for the contestants of the preliminaries that is different from the mythical trial. I hope that the contestants of the preliminaries can display their potential as much as possible. Only then will there be more opportunities to fight for the next opportunity. As soon as the World Tree finished speaking, the audience below the stage erupted again. On Dong Huang's side, Ji Feng, Zhu Yun, Jiao Xian, and the others had also recovered from their shock. They were already numb to what had happened to Shi Yu. It didn't matter. At the moment, what was more important was what the World Tree had said just now. There was also a reward mechanism in the preliminaries. The more outstanding the performance, the better the reward. Shi Yu also recovered. He felt that his gaze had shifted away. He sighed slightly. At the same time, he was quite concerned about the World Tree's words. If there was such a reward mechanism, he would definitely use a monarch-level pet to crush a top-notch overlord above his level. This way, the reward would be the highest. Eh? Something was wrong. Shi Yu was slightly stunned. One was definitely better than two. Then what if he didn't use his pet and did it himself? Shi Yu sensed his overlord-level physique, overlord-level spiritual power, and quasi-totem-level soul power, and fell into deep thought. This definitely didn't follow the rules, right? After all, they were all beast tamers. Moreover, it was all right to fight ordinary overlords, but it was still too difficult to fight top-notch overlords without using the mind domain. Chapter 896, 896 Not Human Again. 896 Not Human Again. Boom tilde. As soon as the World Tree clone finished speaking, while it was still flapping its wings, loud bangs appeared all over the island. Inatella Island. In different natural environments, huge arenas rose out of thin air. In the mountains, rock arenas rose from the ground. In the lake on the island, ocean arenas floated up, and arenas appeared one after another. The various factions on the island quickly looked at the arena closest to them. 10 natural arenas. It's easier to challenge guardians of different attributes. At this moment, as these arenas appeared, the level 6 beast tamers of the various factions heaved a sigh of relief. If they could still choose the opponent's attributes, the difficulty would decrease again. After all, some beast tamers were proficient in fire. It would undoubtedly be much easier to choose a wood element opponent. But according to the World Tree, the way to determine the potential of the participants depends on how the beast tamer wins. Victory against disadvantageous attributes will definitely show more potential than victory against attributes that the challenger countered, right? There were discussions on the island. Closer to Dong Huang was a fire arena. A huge red rock arena rose, making many beast tamers look over. On the arena, a fire python purely made of dark red fire elements condensed. It was 100 meters long and had a thick body. The flames formed snake scales, and a burning fire crown and snake eyes that looked like white flames appeared on its head. Raw tilde? A portion of the flaming python's body stood up and opened its huge mouth. A shockingly high temperature bloomed from its body, making the entire red arena incomparably hot. Even the surrounding air was ignited by it, making the surrounding space extremely red, as if it had frozen. Bang! There were even explosive sparks sputtering on the body of the fire python, flying out into countless fire arcs. Every fire arc was wrapped in transcendent-level deterrence fluctuations. The strong deterrence directly changed the weather, making the clouds in the sky red like burning clouds. The nearby Dong Huang audience looked at the fire python in the arena with serious expressions. Those beast tamers below the master level who were close to the arena didn't even dare to breathe loudly. They were all stunned by the deterrence of the python. Transcendent level deterrence. Most overlords couldn't have it. The legendary beast tamers nearby also looked at the fire python with serious expressions. Was this the guardian of the preliminaries? This guy? The overlord of Imperial Capital University, the prediction owl, flew in the air and looked at the fire python in fear. It felt that the other party's strength was even stronger than his. Was Shi Yu and Jiao Shen really all right? It prophesied for fun and predicted the outcome of Dong Huang twice. Jiao Shen would lose miserably. As for Shi Yu, it was even more ridiculous. In the scene, all the pets seemed to have fallen. Even the beast tamer himself was forced to go and fight the guardian overlord. It was extremely difficult. Swoosh! The moment the flaming arena appeared, on the Dong Huang World Tournament team side, Shi Yu and the others teleported to the place closest to the flaming arena under President Lin's methods. Yixing, Divine Bell, Lu Qingyi, Shi Yu. One world competition contestant after another looked at the fire python with burning eyes. No, Jiao Shen helplessly took off the detector and couldn't detect the data of the Guardian. At least, it's stronger than my trump card, Zhu Ming said. I feel that I won't be its match if I send out an overlord-level pet alone. We have to have multiple pets attack together to have any hope of victory. All the best. This guy isn't easy to deal with. Just the same, its power fluctuations are even above my overlord-level pet, Xing Hai also said. Even with the water element strengthening talent, 1 vs 1 will be very difficult. However, considering the attribute restraint, perhaps I can give it a try. In the Dong Huang team, the legend beast tamers performed relatively easily, but this was a test for level 6 beast tamers. Jiao Shen, Zhu Yun, Ji Feng, and the others didn't feel that this fire elemental life form was easy to deal with at all. The three of them had experience fighting overlords, and the power and might of this fire python was definitely one of the best overlords. This is already the best outcome, Shi Yu, who was beside him, said. Energy points, 70 million. Ling's detection method was not much affected. Shi Yu looked over. At least in terms of normal energy value, the other party was not high. It was inferior to the green-scale dragon. Since it was a created elemental life clone and not a complete life form, it definitely didn't have the will of an overlord. It was very difficult to erupt. The only advantage was that as an elemental life form, its ability to use the power of nature was definitely very strong. Overall, it was just as Shi Yu had estimated. It was the lower limit of the battle power of a top-notch overlord. Its battle power was not as brutal as the sky-penetrating whale and the others. Of course, even so, it was very difficult for level 6 beast tamers. Although the number of challenges is not limited, the preliminaries are not short. We can wait and see first. We can see the guardian overlords of the other arenas and the battle process between them and other challengers before challenging, President Lin said. In the other arenas, elemental life forms of different attributes had different forms and were all in the form of pythons. There were wood element treants, water element divine dragons, wind element giant eagles, and rock element brown bears. These elemental life forms had different forms. But at the same time, the moment they condensed, the transcendent deterrents wrapped around their bodies, including the natural power changes triggered, created a huge pressure on the nearby participating countries. Chapter 897, 897 Not Human Again, 2. 897 Not Human Again, 2. Every elemental clone has the battle power of a top-notch overlord. The preliminaries for level 6 beast tamers are already so difficult. The next mythical trial will probably be even more difficult. In the sky, the legendary demigod's gazes landed on the entire island. They saw that the higher world tree clones had already dispersed and turned into green tree bugs again outside the various arenas. They also hid in the void again, planning to quietly pay attention to the preliminaries. Although the preliminaries weren't very attractive to them, they were already here. They didn't mind waiting a few days before the mythical trial. However, most of them were legendaries and demigods who were more familiar with each other. They went to the deep space to communicate what the world tree had just said. Mythical era would descend, and external enemies had invaded. This was not good. Most of these foreign demigods went to question the legendaries of the 7 countries and asked them what else they knew. Silphra. For example, the dark elven empress of the Dark Night Forest, this high and mighty goddess in a black dress, stopped in front of the elven empress in Tingxiang and said with a smile, "What do you know about the 3 invasion disasters? Tell me. You don't want the contestants of the world tournament in Tingxiang to be injured during the competition, right?" The elven empress of Tingxiang looked at the other party with a faint smile and said, "Speaking of which, I really didn't expect the Dark Elves to participate in the world tournament. After all, your Dark Elves are also products of the pollution of the Abyss evil god. Even if you betray the Dark Mother Tree, it can't change the fact that your blood is extremely dirty." The Dark Elven Empress's gaze turned cold, and her entire body emitted killing intent. The legendaries and demigods retreated. The World Tree clone turned into tree bugs again and spread outside the arena. It paid attention to the entire competition, representing the official start of the World Tournament preliminaries. Be it the contestants of the 7 countries or the Totem country, none of them acted rashly immediately. After all, there was also a reward mechanism in the preliminaries. They definitely had to consider carefully how to challenge it to maximize the benefits before challenging it. But it had to be said that there were many contestants with rougher ideas. The first to pass an assessment, and it's a countered attribute battle. Does it count as having huge potential? On the Earth arena, a lightning dragon circled in the sky. On its body rode a golden-haired hybrid beast tamer. Both parties descended together. This pair of challengers was clearly led by the Overlord-level lightning dragon, and the mixed-blood beast tamer on them was a vassal. The lightning dragon, which was more than 10 meters tall, spat out thunder. It stared at the earth elemental creature in front of it with the beast tamer servants beside it. It was a huge bear made of brown rocks. It was also more than 10 meters tall, and its entire body was wrapped in top-notch deterrence. Its gaze revealed a domineering expression as it looked at the dragon in front of it. It's the Thunder Dragon General of the Dragon Empire. In the surroundings, the factions of totem countries of various sizes looked at the lightning arena when they saw someone from the Dragon Empire appear first. There's a good show to watch. As a demigod-level faction, there were many overlords who wanted to participate, but there weren't many humans. The Thunder Dragon General was a top-notch overlord of the Dragon Empire. Its contractor was only a hybrid level 6 beast tamer. Unlike the Crown Prince, the Flame Dragon King, who had legend-level retainers. Many nearby factions were not unfamiliar with the strength of the Thunder Dragon General. Seeing that it was the first to go on stage to challenge, many factions cast expectant gazes. The Thunder Dragon General was quite confident. Earth had a natural immunity to thunder, which was equivalent to having its own lightning resistance. Was it trying to use this method to make the World Tree look at it in a different light? Although every arena was not close, the beast tamers who could come to Inatella used their methods frequently. Even if they were very far away and didn't reach the scene, they could see the battle with their own eyes. For example, on Dong Huang's side, Legend Xiao Shuang, who had arrived at the scene, used the Eye of the Stars to synchronize the scene of the 10 arenas with the methods of the mechanic class to the nearby Dong Huang audience. There's a challenge at the Thunder Element arena. The challenger is from the Dragon Empire. In the Dong Huang area, many people looked at the huge screen in midair. As for the Sea Dragon King, the Ice Dragon King, and the other Dragon Palace experts, they directly flew into the sky and looked into the distance. They were especially concerned about the situation of the Dragon Empire. In the scene, after the Thunder Dragon General went on stage, the Earth Desolate Bear immediately launched an attack. Its huge claws that could tear apart mountains wrapped in deterrence tore at the Thunder Dragon. The Lightning Dragon roared. The hybrid beast tamer on its body directly fused into its body in reverse, causing the Lightning Dragon to erupt with stronger lightning power. Golden lightning instantly wreaked havoc everywhere, even triggering the descent of heavenly lightning. However, the Earth Desolate Bear had no intention of dodging the lightning at all. Its rock body directly endured the lightning and continued to tear. It collided with the dragon claws of the Lightning Dragon. Crack! In the arena, the Thunder Dragon's dragon eyes were shocked. It sensed an incomparable power from it. The heavy power was like the weight of the ground and mountains pressing down on its body. In an instant, the Thunder Dragon felt its dragon claws break. Then, a huge gravity wave acted on its body. With a boom, the Thunder Dragon General was directly sent flying by the Earth Wild Bear. Its huge body shattered part of the arena and kept sliding on the arena. Idiot! The heir of the Dragon Empire, the Flame Dragon King, was instantly unhappy when he saw the Thunder Dragon General in such a miserable state. It clearly had the strength of a top-notch overlord, and there was also the beast tamer who could help it win against other Guardian overlords through the support of the special fusion talent. Why did it have to think of fighting against an attribute that countered it? Chapter 898, 898 Not Being Human Again, 3. 898 Not Being Human Again, 3. Its lightning had little effect on the other party. Its strength had never compared to the Earth Desolate Bear that stood on the ground and borrowed the natural power of the ground to make its defense and strength incomparably heavy. Even the people of the Dragon Empire felt that the Thunder Dragon General was too impatient. In the alternate space, seeing that its contestant was the first to challenge, the violent eyes of the Black Dragon ruler of the Dragon Empire couldn't calm down. This won't do. The clone of the World Tree, the tree worm that was paying attention to the Thunder Arena, also shook its head. As expected, compared to the way the totem countries used humans, the pattern between humans and pets was stronger in the 7 countries. Therefore, it didn't like to bring the totem countries to the world competition. Next, the Thunder Dragon General, who was relatively famous in the Western Overlord Circle, was continuously suppressed by the Earth Desolate Bear. The battle only lasted for about 5 minutes before the Thunder Dragon General's Beast Tamer couldn't hold on anymore and exited the fusion state. Similarly, the Lightning Dragon was also heavily injured and didn't gain any advantage. Silly! Seeing this, in the direction of Dong Huang Dragon Palace City, the Thunder Dragon Crown Prince revealed a disdainful expression. Seeing that the other party had the support of a beast tamer and was in such a miserable state, it was really ridiculous. The Dragon Empire suffered a loss. The happy ones were naturally Dragon Palace City, Tingxiang Nation, and even the Dark Elves, the Thunder Dragon Crown Prince, the World Tournament contestants of Tingxiang, elves like Annie that Shiyu knew, and the Dark Elven princes of the Dark Night Forest. They revealed mocking expressions. However, through this battle, the contestants of the various countries became even more serious. This battle showed many problems. In an Overlord-level battle, if they were evenly matched, it was not impossible to fight for days and nights. However, the battle style of the Earth Desolate Bear condensed by the World Tree was very crude. It mobilized the power of nature to strengthen his physique with all his might and mobilized his energy to the limit to release a big move. It didn't plan to fight for a long time at all. It didn't mind the physical consumption at all. It didn't carry out a detailed physical distribution, as if he planned to fix the outcome in a few minutes. If the opponent could withstand it, even if the opponent won, the opponent would naturally lose if they couldn't anymore. As for the Thunder Dragon General, it clearly couldn't hold on. Or rather, it could still fight, but the beast tamer it contracted couldn't hold on anymore and directly fainted. For the safety of its contractor, the Thunder Dragon General could only admit defeat immediately. After all, if the contractor died, it would be completely eliminated. Although it was a level 6 contractor with compatible attributes and bloodlines, it was also very difficult. If it admitted defeat, it still had to find an opportunity to challenge again. This battle made the level 6 beast tamers of the various factions understand that these Guardian overlords were really not weak. Even when facing top-notch overlords of the same level with the strengthening of beast tamers, they weren't at a disadvantage at all. They mustn't think of fighting against the opposite attributes. At the same time, beast tamers were very likely to be the greatest burden to contestants who contracted overlords above their level. If they could not participate in the battle, they would not let them participate. At the same time, the contracted overlord had to protect these level 6 beast tamers and not let anything happen to them. After all, these beast tamers were the tickets for them to participate. F*CK, it's even stronger than I imagined. Zuyun looked at the scene. The Earth Desolate Bear tore and flipped the Thunder Dragon's hand in a few rounds and instantly fell silent. It wasn't easy for him to enter the top 10 of the sequence. He wouldn't stop at the preliminaries, right? Jiao Xian and Zhu Yun had serious expressions. A top-notch overlord who relied on natural power to erupt from the start? After watching this battle, even President Lin couldn't help but say, don't think about the rewards of the preliminaries. It's good as long as you can pass. During the battle, remember to go all out and choose the attributes you're most confident of resisting. Yes. Jiao Xian and the others nodded. The main goal was definitely still the reward for the mythical trial. However, Jiang Tianyang, Zhu Ming, and the others saw that the preliminaries were already so difficult. It was very difficult to imagine how difficult the next mythical trial would be. Could they really compete for the opportunity? If they couldn't compete and their strength couldn't increase, there was even less of a need to think about the final world champion competition. Their results definitely wouldn't be at the top. Shiyu, do you want to prepare? In the end, President Lin looked at Shiyu. In his opinion, there was no suspense in Shiyu passing the preliminaries. With that panda, it could probably instantly kill these guardians. However, he believed that Shiyu definitely didn't want to expose his quasi-divine skill so early. He definitely wanted to leave such a trump card in the mythical trial. He judged that Shiyu would most likely rely on the monarch level to fight a top-notch overlord. After all, Shiyu had said that his monarchs also had the strength of top-notch overlords. Regarding this, President Lin naturally believed it. After all, most of the legendary resources Dong Huang had distributed this year had been given to Shiyu. How could those pets not be strong? Shiyu should use a monarch-level pet to fight a guardian overlord above his level. President Lin was already looking forward to the expressions of the other factions after seeing Dong Huang's level 6 beast tamer so fierce. I'll prepare, Shiyu said. I'm not too confident yet. President Lin said, all right. Then, on Inatella Island, with the Thunder Dragon General taking the lead, the challenges began one after another. At that moment, there were about 600 contestants in the World Tournament. Among them, there were more than 400 level 6 beast tamers and more than 100 legend beast tamers. Chapter 899, 899 Not Human Again, 4. 899 Not Human Again, 4. Although there were very few legends under the age of 30 in the Totem country who could participate, they basically worked hard to gather one person for the world competition. There were also many legend geniuses gathered by more than 100 Totem country factions. As for level 6 beast tamers, most of them had contracted overlords above their level. For example, those with outstanding talent and contracted top-notch overlords above their level were the current first-round challengers. With the lesson of the Thunder Dragon General, these people didn't dare to play any difficult operations. Without thinking that there would be much improvement in 7 days, they all provoked the Guardian Overlord they countered to challenge, hoping to rely on speed to win the attention of the World Tree. Soon, battles basically occurred in the 10 arenas. The Fire Element Arena near Dong Huang also welcomed a challenger. It was a pirate from the Endless Sea domain. The pirates in that area were much fiercer than the pirates in the Chaotic Sea near Dong Huang and the 7 Islands. They were all attached to the subordinates of deep-sea totems, burning, killing, looting, and fighting for territory. They were like emperors on the sea, without any order. After a battle until night, the various factions basically determined the situation of the 10 guardian overlords of metal, wood, water, fire, earth, light, darkness, wind, lightning, and ice. They mainly fought with the power of nature. Then, challenging dark element overlords in the day and light element overlords at night could weaken the other party's strength to a certain extent. However, there were also relatively difficult targets, such as water element overlords, earth element overlords, and wind element overlords. After all, in Inatella, the power of these elements was relatively rich and wouldn't change with time. As for light and dark elements, because their attributes were stronger, they were actually not much weaker. For a moment, many level 6 beast tamers were numb. This was because even a level 6 beast tamer from the Totem country who had contracted a top-notch overlord wouldn't have an easy time winning a battle with attributes. After half a day, only 6 people cleared the level. At this moment, after Shiyu basically looked at the battle style of the 10 overlords, he returned to his legendary ruins to prepare for battle. In Inatella, almost every faction carried ruins with them as a resting and preparation venue for their factions. This could ensure the greatest privacy. As for Shi Yu, because he had ruins, he didn't have to go to the ruins Dong Huang had prepared in advance for the contestants and audience to join in the fun. Shi Yu planned to prepare for battle seriously. He wanted to see what reward the World Tree could give him if he didn't use his pet to defeat the Guardian. Why was a beast tamer strong? This meant that the pet had many attributes, which indirectly meant that the pet was stronger. This was clearly the method with the greatest potential to pass the preliminaries. It was much better than using a monarch-level pet to defeat a top-notch overlord. However, Shi Yu still felt a lot of pressure. Although it was the Earth Desolate Bear, and its battle power was inferior to the Bin Bear in Shi Yu's opinion, that still depended on who it was compared to. At least, although he was strong now, he still couldn't defeat the Bin Bear. Therefore, it was very necessary to prepare for battle. Unfortunately, he couldn't rely on equipment in the World Tournament. Otherwise, Shi Yu wouldn't be so troubled. He could directly take off Chi's equipment and fight now. Such rules were also to restrict the demigods from personally creating equipment. Their strength was much stronger than Shi Yu's team. For example, if the Dragon God gave Shi Yu the Dragon God protection, it would be easy for him to withstand a totem-level attack. Therefore, the test of the World Tournament still belonged to the strength of the Beast Tamer and the pet themselves. Woo! Woo! Yeah! Mi tilde? At this moment, in the ruins, the pets of the first team were discussing who to fight. Yi! Leave it to me. If I can't kill the enemy in 5 moves, I lose. Baby Ginseng said. Mi? Me. If I can't kill the enemy in 3 moves, I lose. Kai Tong fought. Ning. 1 move. Ling. The monarch-level Ginseng Baby, Kai Tong, and Susu argued endlessly, all wanting to go on stage. After all, he had added points for so long just to kill indiscriminately in the World Tournament. 11 and Buggy tactfully didn't say anything. They knew that Shi Yu definitely wouldn't send them. He would definitely use a monarch to fight an overlord above his level. Ling, you guys are still too young. According to my analysis, Master might go on stage himself. The pets? As expected of a top-notch intelligence, Shi Yu praised. Ling had never disappointed him. It was actually as smart as him and analyzed that this was the best battle strategy. 11, Buggy? It's just the weakest top-notch overlord. There's too little pressure for you to attack, Shi Yu said. Next, just cooperate with me to prepare for battle. 3 days later. The preliminaries of the World Tournament had already been carried out for 3 days. In the past 3 days, be it Zhu Yun, Ji Feng, or Jiao Xian, they had all issued challenges. In the end, they all failed. Or rather, none of the level 6 beast tamers from the 7 countries had succeeded. So far, the dozen or so people who had cleared the level were all beast tamers from the totem countries. They all had special talents and special physiques. They had contracted overlords above their level, so they could clear the level. This situation caused the 7 countries to be mocked by the totem countries for the past 3 days. Although Inatella didn't allow private battles, the verbal confrontation didn't stop these days. This situation made the 7 countries feel immense pressure. As a result, some countries, such as the Shenfeng nation, had the thought of assisting level 6 beast tamers to contract mechanical overlords above their level. Chapter 900, 900 Not Being Human Again, 5. 900 Not Being Human Again, 5. After all, if one missed the opportunity of the mythical trial, he might regret it for the rest of his life. Damn it! After failing another challenge, Jiao Xian was already faceless, facing the seniors of the 4th Bureau behind him. Every time he lost, his ultimate Holy Dragon Beast would be blown up. In order to repair the ultimate Holy Dragon Beast as soon as possible, the 4th Bureau consumed a lot of precious mechanical resources. A pile of legend mechanics assisted him in recovering, but in the end... Little Jiao, why don't we forget it? Elder Liu shook his head in the fourth bureau. As expected, the difficulty was still too high. It's too much? Zhu Yun was also depressed. Both challenges ended in failure. Among the three of them, Ji Feng was the closest to victory, but in a head-on battle, he was completely no match for a top-notch overlord. On the Dong Huang audience's side, they were also a little uncomfortable because of the three of them's repeated losses. Is Shi Yu still preparing for battle? It had been 3 days. Now, the audience of Dong Huang was looking forward to the challenge of the number one person below the legend of Dong Huang, Shi Yu. However, Shi Yu had already prepared for 3 days and had yet to make his first attempt. It couldn't help but make him a little anxious. He can definitely do it. It depends on how far he wants to go. On Shi Yu's familiar side, Senior Ji Mengzhu and the others were still very confident in Shi Yu. Dragon Palace City was even less worried about Shi Yu. They watched the show the whole time, waiting to see how Shi Yu wanted to challenge someone above his level. Not only Dong Huang, but many people from the other 6 human countries, including most totem countries, were also waiting for Shi Yu. If it was said that before Inatella opened, although Shi Yu was famous, he had largely spread in the 7 countries. However, as Shi Yu unearthed the secrets of the mythical era, his name directly spread among the totem countries. The various factions naturally had to investigate such an archaeologist. This investigation was impressive. Many factions were shocked that such a super genius had appeared in Dong Huang. Although there was not much information about Shi Yu's battle power, just a mechanical phantom beast system was enough for these totem countries to remember Shi Yu firmly. Moreover, Shi Yu had the title of the number one person below the legends of Dong Huang. His battle power was definitely not weak. At this moment, they were also paying attention to the 7 countries. Shi Yu was one of the few level 6 beast tamers who had yet to challenge. After preparing for battle for a long time, Shi Yu, who was wearing an ordinary panda short-sleeved shirt and black pants, finally came out of the ruins again. After coming out, he took a long breath and looked in the direction of the Rock Element Arena. Without a word, he planned to challenge the Rock Element Arena. It was because he had gotten used to fighting bin bears these 2 days and was more experienced in fighting bears. You're finally out. After Shi Yu came out, he immediately attracted President Lin's attention. Are you ready? President Lin asked. Yes. Shi Yu nodded. Which one? Earth Element Arena, Shi Yu said. All right. President Lin nodded. Then I'll send him over. Before President Lin could finish speaking, spatial ripples appeared. The gem cat appeared at some point in time and immediately looked at Shi Yu. Damn, it had been waiting for Shi Yu to challenge for several days. This guy was so slow. It wanted to go to the scene to watch the battle. Then I'll leave it to you, Teacher Ying, Shi Yu said with a smile. Let's go, the gem cat said. In the next moment, spatial psychic power enveloped it and Shi Yu. At the same time, outside the Rock Element Arena in Inatella, Shi Yu's figure appeared. After 3 days, the frequency of the challenge had already slowed down a lot. When Shi Yu arrived, only the Earth Desolate Bear was still standing on the arena. It was like an immortal body. Every time it was defeated, it could quickly recover with the power of the arena. Sure. Yu's appearance did not cause much of a reaction at the start. However, when he walked onto the arena, be it the beast tamers of the 7 countries or the beast tamers of the totem country, they instantly paid attention when they saw someone walking onto the arena. They were immediately stunned by Shi Yu's appearance. It's Dong Huang's Shi Yu. He's finally here to challenge. Shi Yu, who was walking towards the rock arena, listened to the voices around him with a calm expression. Not only humans, but also ferocious beasts, regardless of their level, looked over. Even in the void, a demigod opened his eyes and stared at the Rock Element Arena. Shi Yu was the only level 6 beast tamer that these demigods were more concerned about. After all, it was because of this young man that the 7 countries were much ahead of them in terms of information in the mythical era. It's that human. In the distance of the rock arena, on a huge tree, the world tree clone that looked like a tree worm looked over again. Dong Huang was even more lively. After learning that Xiu wanted to challenge, Xiao Qin prepared to quickly let the Eye of the Stars focus the scene on the rock arena. In various places in the Dong Huang area, Jiao Xian, Ji Feng, Zhu Yun, Lin Xiuju, Lu Qingyi, White Brook, and the others instantly looked over. After being slightly stunned, he chose to summon his pet and head to the scene. The number one person below the legend of Dong Huang? At that moment, more than 10 Totem Country contestants who had passed the preliminaries rushed to the scene curiously. They were very interested in this title. After all, at the moment, no level 6 beast tamer in the 7 countries could pass the preliminaries. At this moment, the strength of the strongest level 6 beast tamer in the superpower, Dong Huang, was very worth their attention.